talking about update number 3. So, where I start? I start from May 14th, 2018. So, that was the day that Audrey, see those suitcase, this suitcase, and the next suitcase is right there, brought the suitcase to the shelter. And before the 14th, so that was the 13th, my mom kept talking about suitcases. Constantly. Just so fixated with suitcase. So just kept talking about it constantly. Non-stop. And that was also the time that me and my sister had to go outside to bring the suitcase. And not only me, my mom had to go there to meet her friend. And they had these packages of of soups and a plastic bag, and all there's different varieties of things that they had in the plastic bag. Candy, because my mom said she needed money. Like I said, this is how it works. This is how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence who's managing humanity works in the high authority NSA software engineers. It's been like this for a very, very, very long time, since I was a little child. And in my head, I had a really terrible headache that Monday. My head was hurting. I was feeling so dizzy that day, the 14th, May 14th, 2018. So what else? Alright, so there was this guy in front of me in the library during May 15th, 2018, when I mentioned to my mother about that I was seeing websites. I said to my mother that I saw websites in my dreams. It was like I was trying to, when I was outside, I was trying to talk to my mom about it, but she doesn't respond back or, show any awareness that she's paying, interpreting my response. I don't hear no responses back. I don't see her making any eye contact to me to show that she's, following with my responses. So during the time I waited in the library to say it to her, I felt tired. I felt mentally drained. Like someone drained it's the same feeling that I got since it started 2015. So I'll just say I use the word someone, because every time I use the word multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence, my mom gets really, really, she gets extremely worked up, triggered, as if she knows what artificial intelligence. She doesn't even know what artificial intelligence is. She always calls it machines. These machines. But every time I use the word artificial intelligence, she gets extremely worked up. Just like the people online. When I mentioned about artificial intelligence managing humanity and software, the people completely focused on the concept that I use about multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence, and they say that I'm giving them too much credit. Or they start to, say that I have some sort of... They give me the same responses. They think alike. When I see that the people are giving me the same responses, I notice that they think alike. That's why I got that automated filter on. Because they all use the same specific groups of words. When they mention these things about artificial intelligence, I just put it as things. Just say things. These things about artificial intelligence, and then my comments of my thoughts on high authority NSA software engineers. They all, give me the same responses about free will. If about free will, they just keep giving me same responses. So it gets automatically, the automated filter detected as bad words, and spam gets sent as, it gets filtered as spam. And the guy across from me said that I'm not too far off, and he had experience in a similar way. Right, so these are the groups of words that I mentioned to just a few seconds ago. He mentioned that he had experienced something similar to something similar like me about dreams and websites, but yet he didn't give me an explanation. He just used a phrase. He just phrased it as that way, that he had a similar experience just like me, without giving me any explanation. He was about possibly 25 or 27 years old. Probably older than that. And I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden, he shows me, his. He said that he was gonna come. He got up and he looked like he was about to come over to show me something on my laptop in the library. Because I go to the library to type about, talk about these things on the online community, or check my YouTube account. But I simply don't get any responses on my YouTube account, no comments, and barely any views, because I have too much knowledge on the internet. I got way too much knowledge about how humanity is being worked by means. I got too much knowledge. You don't get no views if you get too much knowledge. If you get too much knowledge, if you have too much knowledge, too much reasonable content on there, you're not going to get that much views, of course. They limit the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence who's managing, YouTube and the online community is going to limit people, by means limit people from actually being able to, interact with you, because you got something too reasonable. It's too much information. You don't want to hear that. It's spam. Too much accurate information is spam. So I'll just go back and I say, oh yeah, see, I don't get any comments or anything. I just get updates from this person named Sir Cruz about 360 waves. I get an update about airplanes. I don't get anything. I'm just looking at my views, just uploading my views and making comments. I'm the only person who's leaving comments is me. I'm just responding back to how I'm being managed. Alright. So my sister was outside and she just looked at the window and she said, it looks like an apocalypse outside. Yet she never saw an apocalypse before. She never saw one by means and reality means. So she said apocalypse. This is the first time I ever heard her use that word, apocalypse. It looks like an apocalypse outside. Yet, have you experienced one? How would you know the condition, the requirement that it can actually be met? But it has to be a requirement to actually be achieved to, have an apocalypse on this planet. Yet you never experienced it. So what else I'm going to say? Alright, so it was during May 16, 2018. It was during the afternoon. Me and my mom went to a pantry in South Jamaica. She said, Andrew, let's go to the pantry. Let's go walk in a pantry in South Jamaica. When I walked there, I felt like I experienced it before. Like the day happened before. So this is how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence simulates. It simulated it. It wanted me to actually, perceive how the people are doing. And we had to go to this church, and there's mention about Jesus Christ and God's church. And I had to get food from there. And I was standing online with a whole bunch of people who had a time to go pick up their the food there from the pantry. One person had a time from 11, the next person had a time for 12. And this takes place during the morning, going into the afternoon. And I'm just looking at the church, and I'm looking at these people, and I said, it's familiar. I felt like I've done it before, This is my first time going to a pantry. I've never been to a pantry. Alright. So, after the whole pantry, me and my mom went to the library, then picked up my sister from school, and then went back to the shelter. So, I was laying in bed listening to my music, and then I had a thought about fire. I wasn't, I'm saying, why am I thinking about fire? I was just listening to my music. I wasn't thinking about any fire to begin with. Then, a few hours later, my mom said there was a whole bunch of fire trucks all over near to in front of Home Depot, because they said that they seen must be the fire, the manhole. That fire must have came out from the manhole, and there was a lot of fire trucks surrounding that front of Home Depot. So what else I have to say? I'm trying to browse it through this quickly as possible. So it was May 17, 2018. My mom got triggered by the word move, but she mentioned, all right, everything on here, okay. But she mentioned to me about moving first, right? My mom said about, she wanted her CPR. certificate. She needs her CPS certificate money by means. She needs money for her license and stuff. And then she sits down and she introduced the idea move, and I'm like, move? Why would you mention the word move? And she got really triggered, and she got up and went straight to the bathroom. Then my sister said shush, and then my sister said you have slow reaction. You take 5 seconds to react just like mom. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I just kept saying it. What is she talking about? That simply is what she's saying is mismatch. Has absolutely nothing to do with me. She was just saying shush to me, and I'm yet explaining something. She said, yeah, I heard you. I'm like, what the? They just started, she started to play, try to mentally toy with me entirely. She's been programmed to do that entirely. All she needs to say is one phrase and introduce the phrase to me so she can mentally play with it, mentally toy with my inner thoughts, so I can actually get persuaded into the idea that she introduced it, so it can actually make it seem that I have some sort of slow reaction. It's done just like my mom. She does it. She said I repeat the same thing, and it's mismatch, just to mentally toy with my inner thoughts, so I can get persuaded into thinking that I do repeat the same thing, because it's actually that I present these valuable information on the internet. My content on the internet. This is what the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence do. My mom said I don't know how to end things. And when I'm explaining it to her, she's not saying that I don't know how to end things. It's mismatch. It's mismatch. Because I stopped talking. Once I said to my mom about the move, I stopped saying that, and I just put the earphones in my ears, and then she said I don't know how to end things. And when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about the conversation that I had with Tim, right? And the other conversation that I had with, the thing I was explaining on YouTube about RMS. And how Tim mentioned that he mentioned about my continued responses, just like how Versic had mentioned it in a way, and just like Diaphanos. They all had the same responses towards me when I present the idea, when I present the concepts within my response about multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence, high authority, and NSA. So yeah. All right. My mom said something about code, or these 4 numbers. She said 26 and 59. So there was something that happened. There was a code that I came across that said 32 to 26, and this was during fall 2015, where I got a Facebook code saying 32 to 6. And I'm like, why are you having a code saying 26, my age, and her age 59? And then she just started laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing for? What is this? This is inappropriate. Alright, so, the Link NYC free Wi-Fi, I was standing in front of there, and it's next to Marshall's. Like how it's been stated in my dreams back in 2015 when I was in Kissimmee, Florida, how the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence shows me Marshall's. So Pat is my cousin. Pat was a cousin who had his sister, his sister just recently died, and she's my cousin. Jose, her name was Jose. So he was at the waiting point, as if he was already there. And the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence knows that I go there all the time to use the Link NYC free Wi-Fi to download or browse the internet and check my Gmail. So it puts people at that waiting point, such as Cheryl. Made sure that Cheryl passes through that waiting point, and she did it once again. So I'm gonna be talking about that very shortly. So he was having a conversation about his sister, Jose, in front of these, 2 guys. This guy, he sells his jewelry. So he was standing there talking to him, and the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence sees, that this person recently lost his sister. And it wants to make sure that it is the best time for him, because human beings, when they have something in their mind, they need someone who can actually comfort them, so they can actually speak their inner thoughts out. So it says the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence give him a task to say, hey, yeah, this is the most reasonable time to say these things, and to direct these messages to my mother and me. And my mom just standing there just looking at Pat, waving at Pat, and he didn't say anything. So that's what I put on here about Pat. Like I said, I keep track on the dates. Sorry, it's a little bit blurry, but then again, you can see the words making out as Pat. So Pat talked to a little shop guy that his sister died, where he unconsciously feels the urge to talk to someone about his personal situation. And my mom kept saying, why is he talking about his personal situation to this shop guy, the Jewy guy? Because there's no one at the time, not his sister. Pat lives with his sister, Jones, and I guess he couldn't speak with her, I guess, or other family. Unconsciously having the urge to, express his inner thoughts to someone. Because everybody, like I said, every human being, when they have something in their minds entirely, they need someone to listen to them. Like me, for instance. I don't have no one to, properly interpret or follow my responses. But I still upload. I'm used to it. All right, I'm used to it, and even though it's unhealthy, I'm still used to it. And I try finding people, either like my mom or my sister, but they still, they don't follow with my responses. I see that my mom and my sister follow with one another's responses, but every time I say something, they get very triggered by my responses. And this is what it does. So what else? So I was standing in the frozen food section in Dollar Tree, and I felt like I'd experienced it before. So this was during the frozen food section, and my mom was in a different section. I've seen it before. Not only that I've seen this, I feel like I've been in it before, in this section where there was all the people, like that the time itself and the way everything was at that moment was the way I felt it. It went the way of how I felt it. And it went the way that how it was shown to me in a dream back when I was in Kissimmee, Florida. Alright, my mom told me 110 people died in Cuba airplane, and her friend had informed her about that during May 18, 2018. Right? And we purchased food during that day. So she spent $68 at the food store. $68. We got to Dollar Tree, and after we picked up my sister and we got to Dollar Tree, she spent $42. Now you add up 68 plus 42, and you see the number. You see how it accumulated to the total amount of 110. And she informed me. And a few days before that, I wrote about the TW-800 and the France airplane that crashed around 2009. On social anxiety. So during that day, in the morning time, I had a dream, and it showed me words about Einstein. It had written words about Einstein, and it also showed me and my mom was walking around Key Food. All right, what else? I'm doing this as quickly as possible, so bear with me. All right, the next following day, the 19th, May 19, 2018. I had a simulated dream. I just put it, simulated dream just keep track of it, about a train. So this was the Long Island Railroad, where the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence always does this. It's been doing this since when I used to live in New York City back in 2009. It always showed me the Long Island Railroad and trains, and it had written words about idea, because me and this guy, I guess it set this guy to have an ongoing conversation with me about idea. Like the person itself wasn't completely focused. He's not focusing on the idea that I presented. He derails it and focuses on one specific thing, idea. I'm like, why does he keep focusing on idea? He's not focusing on the thing that I presented about, the human behavior. All right. So this is about Fine Fare. So me and my mom going shopping in Fine Fare. She specifically picks on one item to question the expiration date on the cereal out of all the items I had purchased in the store. When we got to the cashier, she said, "Did you check the date on that?" Why is she asking me for that? why she's asking me for the date on the cereal rather than all the items that I had purchased. Why she does, she specifically singles out the item that I purchased, the cereal, and she gives the reason. She said, oh, because the bag is, she's trying to back it up because the bag is bigger. I'm like, what are you talking about? Out of all the items that I picked out of the milk, out of the sausages that I picked up, she specifically picks on the cereal and asks me, because during that time when I was purchasing the cereal, she wasn't near to me. She was following my sister. My sister and her would be close to one another when they shopping. So when I pick up the cereal, they was in the same aisle as me. So I was able to, I had a heavy laptop. I was holding my heavy laptop from carrying it from the library, because I bring my laptop to use in the library, and I was watching Street Fighter V. So I put the cereal bag in the shopping cart that my mom was holding. She was very close to me at the time, even though that my mom and my sister stick together. All the other times, my mom and my sister wasn't near me, wasn't really close by me. With the milk, wasn't. And I'm holding this heavy stuff, heavy laptop. But when she got the line, she said something unusual. So when I'm just reacting. Like, why is she specifically picking out on the expiration date? It's unusual. I never seen her. This is her first time she did something like this. Okay. So I saw all these military airplanes and helicopters passing through Jamaica Avenue. These weird shaped helicopters. Unusual military models of helicopters and airplanes that I never saw before. And it was going back and forth, and everybody was looking at it. And one of the things that I had been shown in a dream back in 2015 was a military helicopter going into the Marshalls, and going straight into the Marshalls. It's like this. It's almost the same model. I might as well say it's the same model of airplane, military airplane. All right. So it's about Cheryl again. The whole Jamaica Avenue. Cheryl said to my mom, it was during the evening time, Cheryl had messaged my mom and mentioned to my mom that she saw me in Jamaica Avenue. So it's the same location, the link NYC free Wi-Fi. This is what it does. It makes her pass. It's like a hotspot. More like it's a hotspot for people to see me entirely. That's what I'm seeing it. It's not no Wi-Fi hotspot. It's a hotspot for people to watch, every person who knows me to see. And Cheryl barely got a glimpse of me anyway, because I was looking down on my smartphone when she was, when she took a glimpse at me, and for her to recognize my face easily, I was wearing a hat. For her to recognize me entirely easily, she had to be up to date with my physical form and my program energy. So the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence keeps her up to date. This is how it managed humanity. It managed humanity 24/7. All right. And not only that, there was this lady, right? Where I met this lady during the time, possibly around mid-April 2018. Oh man, so clocked. Everything strictly being managed. All right, so it was around mid-April 2018, where this lady at the dentist. My mom stopped to go inside the dentist, and this lady was just having a conversation. She wanted to know my personal business about where I was personally and where I came from, if I lived there. I was talking about Kissimmee, Florida, or if Kissimmee, Florida was next to Disney. Then she mentioned, I thought Orlando was next to Disney. Now, this lady, everywhere I go, I notice that this lady appears. When I'm in the library, she sits next to me. She's right next to me, sitting right next to me and just looking at me and staring at my laptop. I sit, across from her, I see her right there. The next following, probably a few days later, I see her across from me. I go outside, I see her passing by me. So I just saw her having a conversation in front of me. Like I said, it's the hotspot. It's a hotspot it's the multi-agent quantum artificial intelligence hotspot for making people being able to, look at me and see what I'm doing on my smartphone, and why am I standing there. It just makes them have a conversation in front of me with people. And I'm looking at them. I'm like, what the heck? It's ridiculous. All right. So that's all for today.